G'day warbanders, and welcome back to another video on Emperor of the Fading Suns. And today I'm going to be telling you my top 5 mistakes you want to avoid when playing this game, and just giving you some tips on and some strategies on how to deal with those mistakes or potential hazards. This is Emperor of the Fading Suns, an old school sci-fi strategy game. I like to call it a grand strategy game. It's a mix of grand strategy and war game, I think, but there's also elements of 4X. And to celebrate this game, the developers have generously given me 5 keys to give away as part of the turn-based Thursday Fest in Steam. To celebrate its, sort of foray into Steam. And so yeah, if you guys are interested, please comment below, and I'll randomly pick 5 noble men or noble women in the comments section. The deadline is about 2 days roughly, and when I reply, make sure you have a Discord, and I can use that to contact you to get the keys. So yeah, guys, if you're interested and you want to get a free game, this is an amazing game. I've looked at my previous video, I've done a review on it, and yeah, it's a steal. It's free, like the giveaway is free, 5 keys. So get commenting. But yeah, we'll get straight into the video. This is a multiplayer game I'm playing right now, and there's a couple of mistakes I want to highlight in my gameplay. I've showed this in my previous video, but one of the first things that I made a mistake on in this game is probably expanding maybe too fast. Okay, that's one thing you got to be careful about in Emperor of Fading Suns. It's not like other strategy games where you can sort of just expand constantly without any thought or reason. So if I expand into, Icon, which I'm doing right now, with no military right now, someone could easily just come in and take me over, because I just don't have enough military units to defend these engineers, these poor engineers that are developing this backwater planet. And you can see that the rebels are closing in, a couple of gunships, some dire bombers, and some rebel partisans. So this is a big mistake I've made. Again, you want to come in with your colonization efforts with military force. And I've sort of stretched myself thin here, and the rebels are going to overpower me here probably if I don't do something about this this problem here. And it overstretches your supply lines, and it just makes you an easy target for other players, especially in multiplayer. Because in multiplayer games, especially strategy games, when your opponents, they smell blood in the water and they can see that you're weak in certain areas, they will go for you. Okay, so you got to be careful of not expanding too much. And now we're going to go into a second mistake I've made in this game, which I should have, taken into consideration, is that you don't want to pop ruins. So ruins in this game are sort of like civilization barbarians. So these NPC sort of enemy units. I'm just trying to find where these. So these are ruins here. So these ruins, they give you some good boons if you take them over. They give you stuff. If it's a bit of a dice roll, right? But make sure to have a strong military to take the stuff over, because when you pop the ruin, there's a chance there's going to be some symbiotes or some rebels. Okay, so enemy units, and there could be a strong stack in there, a strong stack of units with lots of good weapons, lots of good units. So I've actually had this situation happen to me, this mistake I've made. I popped this ruin, and then it was just a death stack basically, and I've been forced to retreat my forces from this mine because the stack is too strong, and I'm just building up some strategic bombers because they don't have much AA. So again, when you're popping ruins, you got to be super careful. Okay, build up a strong military when you're taking over ruins, because yeah, don't do what I did and just pop it and hope for the best and see if I can pop it without any enemy units popping out. But yeah, don't pop ruins too early. They're great for getting your early resources and stuff like that, but just be careful. And now onto my third point, which is probably a really crucial thing in this game, is not neglecting your space navy. Okay, I've neglected my space navy a little bit in this game. I'm still building it up. I got some space fighters, but I don't think this is enough. Okay, I should have been building up this up a bit earlier. I should have done some more tech trading with the other players. And the situation is our opponents here, he owns the yellow player here, he owns 4 planets. He actually has 3 planets technically, but he's the ministry, he's in the ministry for Stigmata, the garrison commander, so he actually technically owns that planet as well. So 4 planets against my 2 planets, it's not going to end well in a war if that ever happens. So in this situation, he's going to have a bigger space navy than me. And, you know, I've been sort of building up my land forces a little bit too much. So what I'm trying to say is that you got to have a balance of focusing on your land army, so your planetary forces, and also your space navy. Because if you don't have a space navy, your opponent can just bombard your units from space, like precision bombardment, and there's nothing you can really do about it unless you build these specific units that counter space units, which I think is in the factory here, if I can find it. So this missile launcher here, like this has a ranged space attack, so this can actually fire back at space units. So yeah, if you want to, you know, have a better time in this game, make sure to have a space navy. So that means building some dreadnoughts, some space fighters. I recommend space fighters because you get, you know, you get more stuff in the field. You know, these are disposable, but they're cheap to make, you know. So I'm currently trying to, you know, catch up in terms of the space naval arms race, but I'm not doing a good job because I didn't focus in on it early on. Okay. Because when you're building a space navy, you need to have a strong production line of your resources. So your gems, your monopoles or singularities. This is not monopoles. This is monopoles. And yeah, these are high-end resources. And what you can do is you can trade with the local guild in your planet. It's usually right next to your capital area. And yeah, you want to trade these resources and buy them up. See, there's like 31 monopoles and 12 gems. So, you know, if you don't have the resources, buy them. Okay, buy them. You're going to need them to building up your space navy. I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to build up some high-end resources, but I should have done that way earlier. And this leads me onto my sort of 5th point. You know, this is my 4th point now. It's actually my 5th point, but I'm going to talk about engineers now. So don't, I didn't spend my resources to build engineers. Okay. So I didn't, at the start of this game, I wasn't spam building engineers, and engineers are an economic unit. So they're like your villages in Age of Empires or other strategy games. It builds your stuff, basically all these buildings or these cities, as the game calls them. You need to keep constantly producing engineers, because if you don't, you're going to fall behind. I made that mistake. I'm falling behind this other player who, you know, he knew this fact and he's, you know, expanded it pretty well. Even though let me just try and find it. Even though the score is a bit inaccurate sometimes, you can see that he's a lot further ahead than the other players, because he's sort of focused on building tons of engineers. So basically 80%, I think, 80% of your stuff should be focused on engineers, on building this key economical unit. The engineers, you need 100 metal, 100 food, and don't be afraid to buy that stuff up, the food and the metal, which I'm going to do off screen. But yeah, if you don't build engineers constantly in all these buildings, because all your cities can build units, right? Or basic units, have them constantly pumping out engineers, because the more engineers you have, the more economic potential, the more logistics you have, the more resources, etc., etc. So the more logistics you have, the better you can keep in a war. And this leads into my final point, which is don't get into early wars. So don't try to fight your opponents at the start of the game unless you have a huge advantage like the other players do right now. But no one's declared war on each other yet, because they know that if you declare war, you have to fully back that up with your logistics, your navy, with everything combined arms. You know, you can't just, you know, throw doom stacks and hope to win. It's not a game like that. You can't throw doom stacks. It requires a focused effort on a planet because the logistics are so intensive for planetary invasions that, you know, you can't, you know, avoid not having that economic, you know, backbone. And, you know, if you get into those early wars, you know, you're weak for the other players. So say if I declare war on my neighbor, this green player over here, like we're sort of equal in strength. I could probably fight him out. And if I start doing that, I make myself a target, okay? Because I'm not actually expanded to my neutral planets yet, which I'm trying to do, but I've just been hampered by the NPC units, the symbiotes, which have gotten out of control. And, you know, secretly this yellow player is building up in the background, and I'm really concerned about that. So I'm not really declaring war on anyone yet. I'm going to let them fight it out and let myself try and grow up, you know, develop myself. Because it would be stupid. Because why would I attack Melangtis? Because that requires me to have a huge navy, a huge army. I don't have a huge army yet. And, you know, what's the point of a war? To gain more resources. And I've not developed my own resources yet. There's no point in me declaring wars right now. So wars are when, you know, you've exhausted all your, you know, capability or your logistical capability. You've developed your planets. They're all nice and, you know, happy. And, you know, it's time to go to war, you know. So don't fight early game wars unless you are in a very good position. You have allies. But right now, I don't have allies. I have, you know, friends who are giving me tech. You know, I'm trading tech, but we're not really allies. We're just helping each other out, but not really, you know, in militarily. And I'm suspecting that my opponents here, they have some secret deals going on that I don't know about, which is another cool aspect of multiplayer, is that the secret deals that can go in the background, you don't know what's going on. So especially in multiplayer, don't declare wars without knowing your opponent, without having the intel. Very important. So those are my 5 mistakes, or sort of things that, you know, I should have known before hopping into this multiplayer game. And I'm hoping that these sort of reminders, you know, help you in your multiplayer games. And if you like these type of videos, please like and subscribe if you want to see more guides for this game. I'm not like a veteran player, but I've noticed in this gameplay, you know, I could have done better. And these are sort of the things that I've said earlier, which I think, you know, could use some work. But yeah, guys, please comment below if you want a key for this game. As I said before at the start of the video, free keys I'm giving out. Comment below to say something, and I'll randomly pick 5 people. And yeah, guys, see you in the next video. Bye.